Well, here in The Unfolding, we've been very excited about the Christ podcast. On Friday, Meredith shared an interview with Tom Pelfrey, who plays Jesus in The Christ. And today I'm going to bring you an interview that is really exciting for me. It's with John Rhys-Davies. John Rhys-Davies, most known for his role as Gimli in Lord of the Rings. But John is also the narrator of The Christ. We just had a short bit of conversation to talk about the project. But in this short time, John shared a lot of weight with his words, thoughts about the life of Jesus, thoughts about the life of Paul, a little bit of historical background with the King James Bible. And at the end of this short episode, I'm going to share with you a short thought on Tolkien in a very generous moment from John, where he brought the dwarf Gimli to life for me. But as we talk about the Christ podcast, I encourage you to check it out anywhere you get podcasts. It's an absolutely amazing project. It's called The Christ. You'd find it on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Here we are talking about the Christ right now.
It's an amazing story, and it's a complete story. I know we've got it through people. He told me this, and I told him this, and this, and this. But there's still a freshness in that original story. The surprise, the horror, the sense of loss, and the realization of what the loss means in terms of gain. Everything they have believed in dies on the cross, they think. And the resurrection is a miracle, but can you mean it? And what does it do? But what is interesting is that Christianity would probably have died except for Paul. Paul hates heresy. All Jews hate heresy for a very good reason. When you set yourself up to be king of the Jews, which he didn't, you attract the attention of the Romans. The Romans have absolute control. And the Romans will let you get on with life as long as you pay your taxes and do not challenge the power of the state. Anyone who challenges the power of the state has to be supervised and stopped one way or the other, because the situation is so precarious that if somebody raises rebellion in Judea and in Israel, the Romans will stamp their feet on every Jew they can find. It means the end of Jewish individuality. It means a Babylonian exile again. And that's the reason why Saul persecutes. And of course, 70 years after, there is that rebellion. And the Jews, those that weren't crucified or jumped off the cliff in Masada, they end up in exile all around the world or enslaved.
You mentioned Paul. Is there anything about his story, whether it's being blinded in that moment, this revelation of Jesus, this vision, is there anything about his story that, maybe resonates with you or gets you thinking oh, that's really interesting?
Saul is the real thing. He is an intelligent, thinking Jew. He's been brought up in the faith. He is passionate about the existence of Israel and Judea. And he is in anger, really, because part of him is promised the Messiah, the Redeemer. And yet if a Messiah comes along and the Romans catch them, there's catastrophe. And that revelation at Emmaus, that changes his whole life. He suddenly gets it. He gets it more intellectually and emotionally than the people who are actually around Christ.
Yeah.
And he realizes, good Lord, this is for the world. I mean, this is an application of Judaism, because really Jesus is actually talking like a young rabbi of that period. And modern Judaism, I'm told, is very much along that same basis. But Saul gets it. And he then has to persuade the people he's persecuted to let him in. And he's demonized almost. He has to go and preach the word. I move to this city, I stand in the agora, and I preach. And there are 2 or 3 that listen. And that is a church.
It sounds like we need to do a Paul story with a podcast, and you would be like the right guy for this because you're
I'm so glad you said that. I love Paul.
He is one of the reasons why I personally am compelled toward belief in Christianity. Just kind of his conviction, the flash of light, the blinding, and just everything that would have transpired past that. Can I ask you, are there any words, because you seem to have just a really good command of Christianity, are there any words of Jesus that may have impacted you personally or compelled you? Or are there any words of Jesus that stand out to you as being maybe emotionally moving or more important than others to you personally?
I think the one that always gets me in terms of what Jesus said is, Lord, what must I do to gain eternal life? Give up all and follow me. Are you prepared to give it all up? No. What does all mean? It isn't just the riddance of your intellectual vanity, your prepositions, your certainties about life, your job, your position, and all that. It's a lot for a man to give up. All. That one gets me. The most moving moment that I think I've had in many, many years, I was doing a wonderful little video on the King James Bible, KJV, the King James Version, which is a glorious story about a king trying to unite Protestantism within his own kingdom. And there's a very high church people who are so close to Rome and the absolutely fundamental Puritans. And they're ready to go to war. They do go to war 30 years later. But he's trying to find a way of getting a common book that they can all read from. Some of these people really hated each other. And when they have to sit down at a table and start translating and testing each word, in a way they discover each other's scholarship and they're impressed by it. But I had the privilege of being in the library at Canterbury, where they've got the final pre-publication draft of what became the King James Version Bible.
Wow.
And one of my favorite pieces, and I'm already choking up just even talking about it, I saw, before it was ever in ink, in print anyway, I saw the line for the very first time that they decided on. Now I see as through a glass dark, then I shall see him face to face. And glorious use of through a glass dark. That's the Elizabethans trying to find the thing. They can't really, it's a mirrored, it's a silvered brassed mirror, a Roman type mirror that they're using as a thing. Imagine that you are living in Elizabethan London. The glass isn't clear. It's distorted. It's got great flaws in it. And you're trying to see out, and the traffic has come past, and people have emptied their slops and their poop, and horses have made messes, and there's straw and rotting vegetables in the road. And it's all thrown up, and it's splattered on that glass. And you're trying to see, are you looking out or are you looking in? I suppose if that reflection goes back to Plato, and everything goes back to Plato in the end, that's that shadow on the cave wall. I'm peering through it. The glass is so deep. How can I see you? I see you distorted, and yet I see an image there. It's the most wonderful image of the need of the human mind to come to terms with something greater that it senses but cannot see. Glorious. Glorious.
It is glorious, and there was a glorious moment for me that you couldn't see there as John was holding up a plastic Perrier bottle. Am I saying that? Perrier? I don't know how you say it. Talking about looking through the glass, peering through it. I'm immensely grateful for John and his time and the work that he's put into the Christ podcast. At the beginning, I told you that John shared a very generous acting moment with me as I kind of fanboyed a little bit at the beginning.
I can see you've found the inner dwarf. And once you've found the inner dwarf, you're invincible. You are a power in the land, and nothing can stop you. Unfortunately, you may be the victim of a strangely told story. In truth, Lord of the Rings was a story about a dwarf leaving a disparate group, various talents, to save mankind, basically. But Tolkien doesn't tell it that way because he had these hobbit things, and I don't get me wrong. I like hobbits. I love them. I protect them. I even like the pointy ears sometimes.
Well, for anybody who's even seen Lord of the Rings, if you were confused at all about who John Rhys-Davies was before he did that, he was the dwarf. He is the dwarf. In John doing that, let me know that I can ask him a short question about a quote that I had seen from J.R.R. Tolkien with a conversation that he was having with C.S. Lewis. There is this moment, I believe it's with Tolkien and C.S. Lewis, you would probably know more than me. I think Tolkien suggests all great stories echo a deeper story, and he's referring to the story of Christ. And as someone who's lived in Tolkien's world, does that resonate with you in any way, even as you think about the work you did with the Christ podcast? Was Tolkien right?
Tolkien is one of these guys who gets everything right, He understands why he's at war. He believes Christ, redemption. He certainly knows about suffering. He knows the connection between religion and civilization. You don't stand on the battlefield of the first battle of the Somme when men are dying on either side without asking yourself why you're there. And he was there to protect Western European Christian civilization and the world against German militarism.
For me, an epic time with John Rhys-Davies. He's an epic man, and it is an epic podcast, the Christ podcast. We know you're going to love it. It is a major production. Tom Pelphrey, who plays Jesus, was in Ozark. He's been in several other things. Paul Walter Hauser, he played Richard Jewell, and my goodness, he's in every... The joke is that Paul Walter Hauser is in every movie now. David Oyelowo played Martin Luther King Jr. in Selma. So many amazing actors, and we just know you're going to love this project. The Christ is available right now. 2 of the 4 episodes are out. It's wherever you get your podcasts. Of course, you can check out The Christ and all of our podcasts over at myfaithpodcasts.com.